The Galactic Council chamber floated in perfect silence, suspended above a blue artificial star. Its light washed over hundreds of towering seats, each shaped for a different species. Some were carved stone, some living crystal, some drifting fields of energy. At the center hovered a single empty platform, reserved for worlds that did not yet matter. Earth's place. Ambassador Elias Rowan stood alone on the human platform, hands clasped behind his back. He had learned long ago that silence made the council uncomfortable. Humans were supposed to fidget, to show fear. Elias did neither. Around him, the council members whispered in their own languages, their voices softened by translation fields. They spoke of trade routes, border conflicts, and containment protocols. They did not speak to him. That was never a good sign. Elias felt it in his bones. Humanity had been watched for decades, studied, measured, every war, every invention, every mistake carefully recorded. Humans had joined the galactic community late, loud, and fast, too fast for many. The council speaker finally rose. It was a tall being of pale metal skin and dark watching eyes. Its voice echoed, calm and smooth. The session moves to final deliberation, the speaker said. All non-voting observers will remain silent. Ilias's jaw tightened. Earth was not a voting member. Not yet. That meant whatever was about to happen would happen without consent. A faint symbol glowed in the air, a sealed agenda. Classified even from observers. Elias felt cold. The first council member spoke, a being of layered scales and burning red eyes. Humanity is unstable, it said. Their history proves it. Internal wars, rapid militarization, and emotional decision-making. Another voice followed, low and heavy. They adapt too quickly. They reverse engineer our technology within years. This is not normal. They do not know their place. Another added. They ask questions. They challenge limits. Elias wanted to speak, to remind them that curiosity was not a crime, that survival often looked like defiance, but the rules bound him. He was here to listen. Nothing more. The speaker raised one slender limb. The proposal is simple, it said. Earth is to be removed before humanity becomes uncontrollable. The words hit like a silent explosion. Removed, not sanctioned. Not isolated. Removed. Elias's breath slowed, trained by years of military discipline before diplomacy. His face showed nothing, but his mind raced. Removal meant extinction. Planetary cleansing. No warning. No chance to surrender. A council member hesitated. Whoa. There will be consequences. Minor species, another replied. They will accept our decision once it is complete. Elias saw it then, the fear beneath their logic. Humanity was not being judged for crimes. It was being judged for potential. The vote began. Lights flared one by one, cold, final. Elias counted them without moving his eyes. He already knew the result before the last light appeared. Unanimous. The speaker's voice returned, softer now. The verdict is passed. Operation Silent Dusk will proceed. Earth will be erased within one cycle. The chamber remained calm, orderly, civilized. Elias felt something inside him harden. He turned slowly, meaning to leave with dignity, but the air around his body tightened. A containment field snapped into place. Invisible, unbreakable. For security reasons, the speaker said. The human observer will remain until the fleets depart. Elias met the speaker's gaze. You are making a mistake. The speaker did not respond. Far beyond the chamber, in the dark between stars, ships began to move. The council fleets were vast, ancient, and proud. Thousands of war vessels aligned in perfect formation. Their commanders felt no fear. Earth was a minor world, with outdated defenses and divided leadership. This would be quick. Back in the chamber, Elias stood still, eyes unfocused. To the council, he looked defeated. He did not see the small movements of his fingers. A faint pulse passed through his neural implant, buried deep behind his ear. No transmission, no signal spike. Just a confirmation. Message received. On Earth, the sky was calm. Cities glowed. People lived their lives unaware that extinction was racing toward them. In deep, buried facilities and silent stations beyond the moon. Systems awakened. Humanity did not scream, listened. In the council chamber, a junior analyst suddenly spoke, voice trembling. Speaker. We are detecting anomalies. The speaker turned. Clarify. Our secure deliberation channel, the analyst said, was accessed. That is impossible, another council member snapped. No observer has clearance. The analyst swallowed. The access occurred before the vote concluded. Silence spread, heavier than before. Elias allowed himself a small breath. A new display flared into existence above the chamber. It showed the council chamber itself, recorded from multiple angles. The sealed agenda, the votes, the verdict. A perfect copy. Human voice filled the room. Calm, clear, human, we hear you. The speaker recoiled slightly. Terminate that feed. It is not a feed, the analyst whispered. It is already everywhere. Across the chamber, council members began receiving private alerts. Secure networks breached, archives unlocked. Decisions exposed. Elias finally spoke. His voice carried without effort. You never understood us, he said. You thought silence meant ignorance. The speaker stared at him. You are still contained. Your world is still doomed. Elias met its gaze, eyes steady. Is it? In deep space, the first council fleet slowed. Sensors flickered. Something vast moved beyond detection range, like shadows bending light itself. Humanity had not rushed to the stars in panic. It had waited, prepared, learned. Back in the chamber, alarms began to sound, sharp and confused. Fleet commanders reported interference, unknown signatures, massive ones. The speaker's voice lost its smoothness. What is approaching our forces? Elias said nothing. He did not need to, because across the galaxy, hidden doors humanity had never admitted existed were opening, and the council was about to learn a simple truth. Earth had heard the verdict, and humanity had already decided how to answer. The alarms inside the Galactic Council chamber grew louder, no longer controlled or polite. Council members rose from their seats, voices overlapping as reports streamed in from across their territory. Screens filled with red warnings, broken sensor data, and fleet commanders demanding answers. The speaker tried to restore order, but its voice no longer carried authority. Fear had entered the room, and fear did not listen. Elias Rowan remained still within the containment field. He watched them carefully. This moment mattered. Humans had learned long ago that the first crack in an enemy's confidence was often more important than the first shot. A council strategist spoke, its tone sharp. Our forward fleets are detecting mass distortions in space.
How weapons fire, not engines. Something else? Define something else? Another demanded.
We cannot, the strategist replied. Our instruments do not recognize the pattern. The speaker turned toward Elias, eyes narrow. What has your species done? Elias answered calmly. We prepared. Outside council space, far beyond known trade routes, the darkness shifted. Regions of space once thought empty revealed purpose. Massive structures powered up after centuries of silence. Not stations, not ships in the traditional sense, but something between, human-made, hidden in plain sight, masked by cosmic noise and careful patience. Humanity had learned early that the galaxy watched everything loud, so humans learned to be quiet. On Earth, no emergency broadcasts were made. No panic filled the streets. Governments did not shout. Militaries did not parade. Instead, encrypted orders passed through networks designed long before first contact. Simple commands.
Protocols.
Awaken the deep fleets. Activate the mirrors. Seal the world. Above Earth, the sky shimmered for a brief moment, like heat over stone. Then it was gone. Planetary shields slid into place, not as glowing domes, but as layered distortions woven into space itself. To the Council's sensors, Earth simply became harder to look at. Back in the chamber, a council member slammed a limb against its console. Earth's signature is changing. We are losing targeting solutions. That should not be possible, another snapped. Their technology is inferior. Elias smiled faintly. It was, he said. The speaker's voice hardened. Your fleets are still outnumbered. Even if you delayed us, You cannot win a direct conflict. Elias did not answer immediately. He was listening to something else. Across deep space, the first human fleet emerged. They did not arrive in a dramatic explosion of light. There was no warning flare. One moment the space between stars was empty. The next it was occupied. Long, dark vessels appeared without sound or flash. Their hulls absorbed light instead of reflecting it. No visible weapons, no glowing engines. They moved with quiet certainty, positioning themselves between the Council, Armada, and Earth. Council commanders froze. "What are those ships?" one demanded. Sensors struggled. Scans returned incomplete data, as if the ships refused to be measured. Their mass readings fluctuated. Their energy output appeared low, yet space bent slightly around them. "They are not broadcasting identification," another reported. "They are not responding to hails." Elias finally spoke again. "We are not here to negotiate." The first Council fleet opened fire. Energy lances crossed the void, bright and deadly weapons that had ended civilizations before. They struck the human ships directly. Nothing happened. The beams dispersed, bent away, or vanished entirely, swallowed by invisible fields. The human vessels did not move. They did not retaliate. Confusion spread through the Council forces. "Fire again," a commander ordered. The second volley ended the same way. Then one human ship adjusted its position slightly. Single pulse spread outward, invisible to the eye. It touched the nearest Council cruiser, not with heat or force, but with precision. The cruiser's systems went dark instantly. Power failed. Weapons died. Engines stopped. The ship drifted, helpless. Then another pulse. And another. Council ships began to fall silent one by one, not exploding, not burning, simply turning into dead metal in space. Elias watched the chamber react. Panic was no longer hidden. "They are disabling us," a Council member shouted. "Not destroying. Disabling." "Yes," Elias said. "We remember how it felt to be helpless." The speaker's composure shattered. "You dare lecture us after infiltrating our systems and threatening our fleets." Elias looked at it steadily. "You voted to erase my world," the speaker said nothing. Across the galaxy, more human fleets arrived. From directions no Council map accounted for. From regions thought impassable. From within nebulae and gravitational storms. Humanity had used the galaxy's dangers as hiding places, learning how to survive where others would not go. The Council Armada, once unstoppable, now found itself surrounded, outnumbered. For the first time in centuries, Council Elder spoke quietly. "We underestimated them." Elias heard it. So did the others. On the battlefield, the human fleets finally transmitted a message. It was sent on all frequencies, unencrypted, simple enough for any species to understand. "We know your weapons. We know your tactics. We studied you while you studied us." The message paused. "We will not beg," Council commanders argued, desperate now. Some called for retreat. Others demanded full assault. Pride clashed with survival. Speaker turned toward Elias one last time. "Call them off. There can still be peace." Elias shook his head slowly. "Peace ended when you voted in secret." Outside, the human fleets shifted formation. The disabling pulses stopped. New systems powered up. Council sensors screamed warnings they could not explain. Humanity had finished being quiet. The galaxy was about to hear them. The first human weapon did not look like a weapon. Council sensors struggled to describe it. There was no energy spike, no charging sequence, no warning flare. Space itself seemed to hesitate, as if unsure whether it should obey the laws it had followed for billions of years. Then reality folded. A section of space in the center of the Council Armada compressed inward, not violently, but decisively. Ships caught inside did not explode. They vanished. One moment they existed, the next they did not. No debris, no heat, just absence. Council commanders screamed for data. "There is nothing there," one shouted. "They are removing space." Panic surged through the Armada. Formations broke as captains tried to flee, but escape vectors collapsed as more human ships revealed themselves. They were everywhere now, emerging from shadowed regions, slipping out of distorted space like predators that had always been waiting. Elias Rowan watched from the council chamber, his reflection faint in the transparent containment field. His expression did not change, but his chest felt heavy. This was the part of the plan he had hoped would never be needed. The speaker's voice shook. "What have you unleashed?" Elias answered quietly. "Answer to extinction." On the battlefield, the human fleet finally advanced. They moved with perfect coordination, not rushing, not hesitating. Each ship knew its role. Smaller vessels slipped between larger ones, projecting layered fields that twisted incoming fire away from allies. Larger ships held position, anchoring the fabric of space around them, turning entire regions into controlled zones where only human physics applied. Council weapons began to fail in new ways. Missiles lost targets. Energy beams curved back toward their sources. Command signals lagged, then arrived too late to matter. A council flagship attempted a last stand. Its captain ordered all remaining power to weapons, ignoring overheating warnings. The ship fired a beam strong enough to crack moons. A human ship intercepted it. The beam struck its hull and disappeared, absorbed without effect. The human ship responded with something almost gentle. A thin line of light traced across the council flagship's surface. The flagship split cleanly in two. Silence followed, broken only by the sound of failing systems and panicked breathing across open channels. Elias closed his eyes for a brief moment. Inside the council chamber, some members had collapsed into their seats. Others stood frozen, watching the destruction of what they had believed eternal. Strategist whispered, "They built this in secret." "Yes," Elias said, "'cause you taught us to." The speaker turned away from him, staring at the projection of the battlefield. No species should possess this level of force. Elias opened his eyes, and he should not have forced us to develop it. As the battle continued, something unexpected happened. Human ships began rescuing disabled council vessels. Tractor fields locked onto drifting hulls. Escape pods were retrieved. Medical teams crossed species lines without hesitation. Survivors were treated, stabilized, and secured. Council commanders watching the feeds grew confused. "They are saving us," one said. "Why?" Elias answered, before anyone else could. "Because this is not vengeance." The speaker stared at him. "You erase our fleets and call it mercy?" "We erased your ability to carry out genocide," Elias replied. "There is a difference." Deep within human command space, a new signal activated. It was older than most council civilizations, a contingency the galaxy had never known existed. The final fleet moved. This fleet did not emerge near Earth. It did not defend human space. It did not intercept council forces. It appeared directly above the Galactic Council's home system. Council worlds panicked as massive human ships exited folded space above their skies. These ships were different. Larger, slower. Their presence bent gravity, pulled tides, shifted orbits. Planetary defense networks activated instantly. They failed instantly. Human ships did not fire on cities. Instead, they targeted infrastructure, defense grids, orbital weapons, command relays. One by one, the systems that allowed the Council to project power went dark. On the Council's capital world, citizens looked up at the sky and saw something impossible. Human ships, hovering, unmoving. A message broadcast across the planet, simple and unaltered. "This is not your end. It's your lesson." Back in the council chamber, the speaker fell to its knees. "You could destroy us," it said. "Why haven't you?" Leah stepped closer to the containment field. "Because if we become what you feared, then you were right." The speaker looked up slowly. "Then what do you want?" Elias did not hesitate. An end to secret judgments. An end to silent exterminations. In a galaxy that understands one thing clearly. The chamber lights dimmed as human control signals spread through council systems. You do not get to decide who deserves to exist. Outside, the last council warship was neutralized. The battlefield fell silent, not with the peace of victory, but with the weight of irreversible change. Human fleets held their positions. They did not cheer. They waited, because humanity was not finished speaking. And the galaxy was finally listening. The Galactic Council chamber no longer felt like a place of power. Its glowing walls dimmed as human control systems overrode ancient protocols. Its displays that once showed orderly star maps now flickered with status reports the Council could not change. Fleets disabled, worlds surrounded. Authority stripped away, layer by layer. Elias Rowan felt the containment field around him dissolve. The invisible pressure vanished, and for the first time since entering the chamber, he was free to move. No one stopped him. No one dared. Council members watched him walk forward. Some lowered their eyes. Others stared with open fear. Outside, above the council capitol, human ships remained motionless. They did not descend. They did not fire. Their silence pressed down harder than any bombardment. On the council homeworld, governments collapsed within hours. Emergency councils formed and dissolved just as quickly. Species that had once voted with confidence now begged for clarity, not mercy. Understanding. The speaker rose slowly, its metallic skin dulled by stress. "You have proven your strength," it said. "You have dismantled our fleets and seized our systems. What remains?" Elias stopped at the center of the chamber. "What remains is judgment." A new projection filled the space. Not tactical data, not fleet movements. History. Hidden records spilled into the open. Secret votes. Silent purges. Entire species erased without warning, labeled dangerous or inconvenient. Worlds that had vanished from official maps now reappeared as red markers across the galaxy. Council members gasped. Some cried out in denial. "You hit it well," Elias said, "but not well enough." The speaker's voice cracked. "Those decisions were made for stability, for control," Elias replied. "Stability was just the word you used to sleep at night." Across the galaxy, the same data flooded public networks. Civilian worlds learned the truth about the council they had trusted. Protests erupted. Governments demanded answers. Old alliances shattered. Humanity did not censor the release. They let the truth do the damage. A council elder collapsed into its seat. "If you destroy us," it whispered, "the galaxy will fall into chaos." Elias turned to face it. The galaxy was already built on fear. Chaos is just honesty arriving late. The speaker gathered what remained of its pride. "Then finish it. End us." Elias shook his head. "No." Confusion rippled through the chamber. "We are not here to replace you," Elias continued. "And we are not here to rule." A pause. "We are here to make sure this never happens again." Outside the council capitol, something massive shifted. One of the largest human vessels moved closer to the planet. Gravity sensors spiked. Tectonic plates trembled. Oceans surged against their shores. Panic spread instantly. But the ship did not fire. Instead, it deployed a single structure toward the surface. A towering spire descended from orbit, anchoring itself into the planet's crust without impact. Energy flowed through it, rewriting systems, locking certain functions permanently. A human message followed, broadcast to every council world. From this moment forward, the Galactic Council no longer commands fleets, weapons of mass destruction, or unilateral authority over life and death. The speaker staggered. "You are dismantling us." Elias nodded. "We are removing the blade you held to the galaxy's throat." Across council space, similar spires deployed, each one bound to a world's core systems. Defense grids became impossible to reactivate. Weapon production shut down at the molecular level. It was not occupation. It was disarmament. Permanent. Council members shouted, threatened, pleaded. Elias listened to none of it. "You will continue to exist," he said. "You will govern trade, diplomacy, and cooperation. But extinction votes are over." The speaker's voice dropped to a whisper. "And if we resist?" Elias met its eyes. "You already tried." Silence fell again, deeper than before. In distant systems, species long suppressed by council rule began to act. Borders shifted. Old debts were called in. But there was no sudden collapse, no galaxy-wide war. Because human fleets were watching, not interfering. Watching. Humanity had not stepped forward as conquerors. They had positioned themselves as something far more dangerous. Witnesses. On Earth, the population finally learned the full truth. Not through fear-driven broadcasts, but through calm explanation. The attempted betrayal. The response. The outcome. There was no celebration, only resolve. Back in the chamber, the speaker sank back into its throne, smaller than before. "You could have ruled us," it said. "You chose restraint." Elias turned toward the exit. We chose survival without becoming monsters. As he walked away, the human fleets began to withdraw. Not all at once, not fully. Strategic positions remained, quiet reminders carved into the stars. The galaxy adjusted. Trade routes shifted to avoid human space, then slowly returned. Species that once feared Earth now sought alliances. Some did so out of respect, others out of fear. Humanity accepted neither easily. The final human transmission echoed across known space days later. It carried no threat, no boast. It's just a statement. We were betrayed once. It will not happen again. The Galactic Council still existed. But it would never again forget what happened when it decided humanity did not deserve to live. And across the galaxy, one truth settled into history. Humans were not the loudest species, not the oldest, not the most numerous. But when judged in silence, they answered in a voice the universe could not ignore.